Auditor-General Kimi Makwetu says there's a severe lack of oversight of municipal spending. Municipalities countrywide have lost over 32 billion rand through financial mismanagement and irregular expenditure in the 2018-2019 financial year. That is an increase of about 7 billion rand on the previous year.
It's a report that is being delivered in an environment where there's not much in terms of the fiscus to spare for various needs of various communities. However, the disciplines that have been put in place to protect that very little cash available are not found in large numbers in a lot of municipalities across local government. That is the essence of it. It's a case of monies being spent in ways that cannot be properly explained. And it's also a situation where there's no proper oversight over the activities of these municipalities.
Well, let's get more reaction then. Bring in Paul Berkowitz, a local government expert. He joins us by Skype from Johannesburg. Paul, a very good afternoon to you. Always great to have you on. So the Auditor-General said that there had been this increase in irregular expenditure. It's now to the tune of 32 billion rand, but he says it's not necessarily corruption. An important distinction to make?
Good afternoon, Tembekile. It is an important distinction to make on a technical level, but the increase in irregular expenditure and the increase in corruption tend to go hand in hand all the time. So any increase in irregular expenditure is a warning of what else it could be indicating.
And what is your reading of the overall audit outcomes released today, Paul? Because every year it appears to be the same story. There's poor oversight. People are not recording things in the right way. The PFMA is violated in certain instances. What is the issue?
The issue simply, Tembekile, and it's the issue that's been with us for years, is a lack of political will and a lack of accountability, which has created a culture of impunity. Because it is possible to get clean audits. There are a number of clean audits in the Western Cape. There's one clean audit in Gauteng. And we keep doing the same story over and over again, that this is the third year running, as you said, where audit outcomes are worse. The bright lights and the positive outlook we might take on things is that earlier this week, the Deputy Auditor-General, she spoke in the National Council of Provinces and said that increased powers given to the Auditor-General's office were working slowly through the legal system, but they were underway. And also the fact that we are in such a desperate time in the supplementary budget, and the Auditor-General have had the strongest language condemning corruption and theft that we've ever seen. Maybe we will find the political will to turn the situation around.
But of course, the other issue with a good audit outcome is that that does not necessarily translate to excellent or optimal service delivery at community level. So how do we bridge that gap?
There are a number of things I think we need to do and to put in place before next year's municipal elections. And one or two of those are to strengthen the efforts of community organizations to have their voices heard and to have an input in some of the outcomes. The political will needs to be there to improve things, and maybe with greater scrutiny from Treasury and the Auditor-General's office, we'll get there.
Just on communities, Paul, I want to just read again from this, where the Auditor-General was saying that grants from national government that are meant for infrastructure projects, for instance, being used for operational costs such as the payment of salaries because there are financial deficits in whatever council it is, that too disadvantages the ratepayers.
It does. It really does. We've had this situation for years of financial mismanagement. The Auditor-General's report indicated that funds that were supposed to be used for very basic service delivery, the equitable share, that some municipalities could not account for where that money had gone and that it disappeared from their bank accounts. We've had the VBS scandal, and now we have a reduction in conditional grants thanks to the supplementary budget, which means even though municipalities were underspending their capital budgets, they're going to lose a large portion of those capital budgets for this year and maybe next year.
I want to get your thoughts on something else. The Auditor-General concluded his briefing today by making a call to all South Africans to read these AG reports, but are the reports themselves written and structured in such a way that the average South African, the ratepayer, is able to understand what is being said and get past the jargon in particular?
Not always. That's an important concern. And as you pointed out earlier, a clean audit doesn't mean service delivery is taking place. It doesn't mean that structural backlogs of basic service delivery, of infrastructure, of making a dent in apartheid spatial planning are taking place. And there are some other resources that are linked to National Treasury. There is a National Treasury-sponsored website called Municipal Money, and that often has the important points from past Auditor-General reports at the municipal level. You can click on a map, you can click on a municipality, and you can read the highlighted parts of past Auditor-General reports.
And outside of the Auditor-General reports themselves and some of the other official documentation that is released on the performance of municipalities, Paul, what can people do between elections in particular to hold municipalities accountable? What tools are available?
There are one or two private tools which have not really taken off in order to bridge the gap between communities and municipalities. The one thing I could urge everyone to do, and it takes an effort and a time, is that to start planning for next year's municipal budget, to put a list of important needs at your community and at your ward level. It's too late to make an impact on this year's municipal budget because the financial year began today. But for the 2021-2022 budget, which coincides with the elections, well, they might not, the elections may be delayed, it's very important for people to make an investment in understanding the development goals of the municipality. But that having been said, there's only so much that can be done without a change to the culture of impunity and corruption. It's not as if communities haven't voiced their appeals and gone on peaceful protests most of the time, and yet have not had their voices.
Paul Berkowitz, a local government expert, always good to speak to you. Thank you.